In this video, I'm setting up the Mosquitto MQTT broker in Home Assistant, breaking down how it works and showing a live demo with an ESP32 board controlling an LED. MQTT. MQTT requires three key components: MQTT client, MQTT broker, and MQTT connection. An MQTT client is any device that uses MQTT to send or receive messages. It can be a small sensor, a smart home device, or even a server. Clients can publish messages, subscribe to messages, but clients don't talk directly to each other. They communicate through a broker. An MQTT broker is like a traffic controller for MQTT messages. It receives messages from clients, sends them to the right subscribers, manages security and keeps track of offline clients. The broker makes sure everything runs smoothly and efficiently. To communicate, an MQTT client must first connect to a broker. The client sends a connect request and the broker replies with a connection acknowledgement. All messages go through the broker. Clients never connect to each other directly. This is a visual representation of multiple MQTT devices connecting. Think of the MQTT broker as a network hub where all devices communicate through it. So how does MQTT work? MQTT works by using the following methods of communication: topic, publish, and subscribe. A topic is like an address that helps organize messages. Clients publish and subscribe to topics to send and receive messages. Topics follow a folder-like structure, and clients can only receive messages if they subscribe to a topic. Now, word of warning, topics are case sensitive, so a good rule of thumb is just to write your topics in lowercase only. A client sends a public request to the broker with a topic and a message. The broker will then deliver the message to all clients subscribed to that topic. For example, a motion sensor publishes to home security motion when movement is detected, and a smart home system subscribed to that topic receives that alert. A client must first subscribe to a topic to receive messages. Once subscribed, it listens for messages and the broker forwards relevant messages to it. Clients can subscribe to multiple topics at once. For example, a smart device subscribes to home living room light. If a light switch publishes on, the device receives the message and turns on the light. Think of subscribing in MQTT like subscribing to a YouTube channel. When you subscribe, you don't get old videos, but whenever a new one is published, you'll get notified. Speaking of which, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel yet, now might be a good time. To better explain topics, publishing and subscribing, let me walk you through this flow diagram. On the left you can see two clients. One is a lamp and the other is a motion sensor. And to the right you've got the MQTT broker. So once client 1 turns on, it's going to establish a connection to the MQTT server. It's then going to subscribe to a topic, and in this example it's lounge lights. Client 2 is also going to establish a connection to MQTT server, and instead of subscribing, it's going to publish to the topic lounge lights with the message on. The MQTT broker is going to receive this message and it's going to relay it back to client 1, where it's going to publish topic lounge lights with the message on, and then as a result the light is then going to turn on. In reverse, when the motion sensor detects no motion, it's going to publish to topic lounge lights with the message off. The MQTT server is then going to relay it back to client 1 and it's going to publish lounge lights message off, and as a result the light's going to turn off. Another key part of MQTT is QoS, quality of service. It defines how messages are delivered and is broken down into 3 levels. QoS 0, at most once, sends the message only at one time. QoS 1, at least once, sends the message at least once, ensuring delivery if an acknowledgement is received. And the final one, QoS 2, exactly once, guarantees the message is sent only one time. While QoS 2 is the most reliable solution, it may cause some resources on your network depending on the amount of devices you've got connected. If you're under 50 IoT devices, the chances are you're going to see no noticeable issues and you'll be perfectly fine. Between 50 to 100, you might start seeing some minor delays, and when it goes above 100, you may see some issues depending on the amount of traffic that's going to and from each device. So you may want to perhaps go to one of the lower numbers in that occasion if you're experiencing some network traffic. Now that we understand the 3 QoS levels, let's see them in action. This diagram visually represents how each QoS level handles message delivery between an MQTT client and broker. QoS 0 will just publish and send a message. QoS 1 will publish and send a message, but the broker will also publish back acknowledgement message received. QoS 2 will do the same as above with some additional steps. The client will publish send a message. The MQTT broker will publish back acknowledgement message received. The MQTT client will then publish back completed, and then the MQTT broker will then respond message deleted. If you don't have it already, you're going to need to install the Mosquitto MQTT broker. If you go to settings, then go to add-ons, then from add-on store, do a search for MQTT, click on Mosquitto broker, click install. Once that's installed, go ahead and check Watchdog so it will restart if it crashes, and then click Start. If you go to the Configuration tab, you'll see a section here for logins. Now you don't actually need to do anything here because it will automatically use a Home Assistant account, but best practice is to create a separate login exclusively for MQTT. So we're going to do that by going back to settings, then you're going to click on people, then click add a person, give them a name. I'm going to call it MQTT_user, and if you check allow login, give it a password. If you leave local access only unchecked and also leave administrator unchecked, there is no reason for the MQTT user to have admin rights. Click create and then click create again. I'm now going to take you to a helpful debug section within MQTT. If you go to Settings, go to Devices, and you should see MQTT as one of the options. You may see an extra step where you have to do Add. If not, then click into it. Then go to Configure. Now this section is quite useful for debugging or just practice publishing a topic or listening to a topic to make sure you've got it right and it's working. So I'm just going to subscribe to a topic and we'll call it Demo. And you'll see here you've got the QoS, which is something I mentioned earlier. I'm just going to leave it as 0 so it will just send one message. I'm going to click Start Listening, and then from the Publish section we're also going to type Demo, and we're going to send the payload, which is basically the message, which is hello. So if I type Publish, you can now see hello is showing as a result. What I'm going to do now is deliberately sabotage it, and I'm going to put the topic Demo but with a capital D, and you'll see now it's not working. This is where it's important to be careful with case sensitivity, and it's better to just do everything in lowercase. I'm going to change this now so it's using forward slashes. I'm just going to stop listening. So now it's Demo Test. We'll make that Hello World, and we'll make that Start Listening, and we're just going to click Publish, and then you can see that is also working. This is only an example of the Mosquitto broker talking to itself. So what I'm going to do is navigate over to Arduino, and I'm just going to demonstrate configuring an ESP32 board and show you the MQTT settings from within there, which is a little bit more realistic and perhaps useful. Moving over to Arduino, I'm going to flash an ESP32 board and have it connect to MQTT as an example. Now, some of you watching this video are probably going to argue, if you've got an ESP32 board and you're going to want to use it with Home Assistant, why don't you just use ESP Home, which is way easier and you don't have to fool around with the libraries. Good point, and the reason I'm doing this is just to demonstrate MQTT working from a device. I will link this code to GitHub if you want to use it as a demonstration to play with. All you're going to need to change is these parts here. So you'll just have to put in your wireless SSID, your wireless password, your MQTT username. If you didn't create a dedicated user account in Home Assistant, it can just be any Home Assistant username followed by the password. And then this is your MQTT server. And then the client that you're going to be flashing, you have to give it a name and it must be unique. I'm going to call it Demo Client 1, and this is a topic which we're going to call it Demo Test. If I scroll down, you'll see there's a condition here where it will wait to receive the topic, and if message equals on, it's going to turn the LED on, and if message equals off, it's going to turn the LED to low. If you've ever played around with Arduino before, or if you've only just got started, there's a lot of headaches it will give you. For example, these libraries, if you haven't installed them, it will throw a tantrum at you when you go to verify or flash. Because I have, I'm not going to get that error, but I'm just going to intentionally include a library that I know I haven't got. So I'm just going to put some random characters afterwards and now do verify. And this is a classic error you'll see in lots of forums, where here you've got this no such file or directory error message. And if you ever find yourself receiving a message like that, it basically means you haven't installed the library. And a way to solve that quite quickly, if you select pub sub client or whatever library was generating that error, so I'm just going to copy that one, and if you head over to library manager and then do a search for it, you should get a handful of results. And if you just install one of them, what you'll then find is next time you verify, it's going to work. So you may find that for both of these libraries it will say no such file or directory, and you just need to install them first. Now for this demo I'm using a secrets library as well. You don't need to worry about this because all you're going to be doing is changing these fields here. My secrets here, which I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to show you how to create it in case you wanted to, is if you click on those three dots on the top right and then do new tab, and it must be called secrets.h. Because I've already got it, I'm just going to call it secrets demo. I'm just going to do this so you can see it working. And then what you would do is you'll copy this code and you're just going to put your wireless and your MQTT details within that file, and then you reference the secrets.h, and then because I've done that, I don't actually need this part of the code anymore. And it's just a slightly better way of doing this, because if I wanted to share this with someone else, or perhaps I was having problems, I'm not exposing all my passwords with them, because I'm only going to be sending them this file, and then I'd securely, or I would save my secrets here, which no one else is going to see. I'm just going to delete that file because it's not being used. Now I'm going to attempt to flash to the ESP32 board. So I'm just going to plug the cable in. In this example, I've only got one COM port, so it's easy to identify which one is that board. If you do get multiple choices, what you might want to do is just disconnect the board, look at COM ports, make note of which ones are showing, and then plug the ESP32 or development board in, and then you can figure out whichever new port shows is the one you're using. So I'm going to have that set to COM port 6. Then from Tools, go to Board, ESP32, and I'm going to be using ESP32 dev module. I'm actually using a 30-pin ESP32 board. I'll reference it in the description as to which one I'm using, and you may need to install the libraries for this if you haven't already. And to install the library for that board, if you go to File and in Preferences, you'll see a section here where you'll need to paste this URL, and then afterwards, if you go to Tool, Manage Libraries, and then do a search for ESP32, you're going to be presented with multiple choices, and you'll probably find most of them will actually answer. Most of them will solve your problem, but you'll need to install one of these that's relevant for your board. And then once you've done that, when you go to Tools and then Board, you should see ESP32 and more options if you were missing it. You're probably already starting to notice how much of a headache Arduino can be compared to ESP32. Anyway, we're going to attempt to flash the board. Now some of these ESP32 boards, I don't know if you can quite see in this tiny camera image, but there's a little boot button here, and if it isn't flashing, it may be because you've just got to press that boot button as it flashes. So I'm just going to see what happens if I don't do that. So I'm going to click Upload, So I'm just waiting for it to finish compiling the sketch. In this occasion you can see it's failed, and it's probably because I needed to press the boot button, so I'm just going to do that again. And now you can see it's starting to flash. Arduino can be a bit of a pain. Sometimes if it does just hang, you may have to just restart the application. And other times, if you find it just cannot connect to the ports, give your machine a restart and then try again, and you may find it will work. Now that the ESP32 board is flashed, what I'm going to do is attempt to send a message from the MQTT broker and hope the ESP32 board is going to receive it, and based on the condition, if the message is on or off, it's going to turn on or off the internal LED light. So from Arduino, I'm just going to go to Tools and go to Serial Monitor, and then from Home Assistant I'm going to go to Settings, go to Devices, scroll down, look for MQTT, and then I'm going to go to Configure, and we're back to this debugging section. So I'm going to make the topic demo /test, and I'm just going to make the payload on, and what should happen is you can see the lights turning on, and it may not be clear, but the serial monitor has also said LED on, and it's showing the message. So I'm just going to turn it off now, and you can see the LED turns off, and you've got a message showing in the serial monitor. So you can see that example is working perfectly. And that's it. You've now got MQTT running in Home Assistant and communicating with an ESP32 board. If you found this helpful, give it a like. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more smart home automation content. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments section or join my Discord channel. Thanks for watching.